Welcome everybody to the Cultivating Growth Conference for 2021. I come to you this morning from the lands of the Awabakal people here in fabulous Newcastle, and we have a really exciting lineup for us today. There's a couple of little housekeeping things we'll go through just to kick the day off. Today has come out of a project that happened in 2017, which was the Inclusion Conference, which was put together by Delivery Support Newcastle Ed Services, a network specialist facilitator at the time, and Katara School. And that conference was all about creating inclusion opportunities for students with additional needs. From that, the Special Education Hub was conceived and came into fruition. And that was really about what today's about, which is getting the best practice and the most up-to-date information out to educators and those people who work with our young people for free so that you can access it wherever you are. And today, the Cultivating Growth Conference is really aimed at trauma-informed practice and what's happening at the moment in the field of trauma-informed practice. There's incredible amount that's happened even in just in the last 2 years, and what we're bringing to you today is some of that best practice from right around the world. So sit back today and really enjoy the ride. COVID has created a lot of challenges for us at a systemic level, as well as within our classrooms and for our young people and our families. And it's been really challenging for many of us to navigate. We're going to be looking at some of the things we can do to buffer that and to set our children up and our young people up with resilience and tolerance for the challenges that's created, how we can navigate that as a system. But out of these challenges also come some incredible opportunities. We're able to bring today our conference to you online, which isn't always necessarily the best format that conferences can occur over, but it's also created an incredible opportunity for us to reach that wider audience. And that's one of the things that we're really passionate about doing, is being able to bring this, the best practice in the world to wherever you guys are. So that's an incredible opportunity that's come out of today. One of the things we have to be aware of when we're doing online presentations, particularly for one that goes for all day, is that we really need to ensure that we're being neurologically respectful to ourselves and we're being kind to ourselves. So please give yourself the space today to take breaks as you need them, have a drink as you need to, stand up, move around so that you can really enjoy today, celebrate today, and access today to get the most from it. We have a whole bunch of range of resources which are available. So if you have a look at the Cultivating Growth page in the Eventbrite web page, where you will have registered, there is a conference booklet in there. And within the booklet, there's some resources which I encourage you to have a look at. We have links to the organisations for many of the presenters today. And we also have QR codes for Slido. So if you have a look into that, Slido will give us the capacity to buffer the fact that we're not all together in the same room, which would be amazing. And it'll allow us to have a little bit of interactivity. So please take the time to have a look at Slido, because it'll give us opportunities to be able to ask questions throughout the day, and it also has the capacity for us to be able to vote on questions. So if somebody's asked a question that's a really, really good one, you can vote that one up, and those are the questions that we can present to the presenters at the appropriate time throughout the day. Bruce Perry will be presenting in the second half of the day, and part of his presentation that he's put aside is specifically for questions. So if you can put those questions into there, our MC for the day, who I'll introduce in a moment, will be able to put those questions to Bruce Perry. We also have our panel at the end of the day as well. So if you have questions for the presenters over the day, we'll be able to present those questions to the panel individually towards the end of the day. Another thing that's really important to acknowledge on a day like today is that with the numbers of people that we have accessing our conference, and it's a really large number, it's just so fabulous. We've got over 1,700 people have registered. That means that there's over 1,700 individual and different stories. Each one of us is coming from a different perspective today. Each one of us has come on a different journey. And some of the material today may be challenging and may impact you because of the story and the journey that you've brought today. I'd encourage you, if you work for the Department of Education in New South Wales, to take advantage of EAPS, to take advantage of the Being Well resources, and you can find links to those within your conference booklet. If you don't work for the Department of Education, or you're coming from a different organisation outside, I'd encourage you to explore the supports that your organisation provides. If you're in an organisation or you're an individual and you don't have access to those sort of systemic supports, what I'd encourage you to do is look at, we have a number for Lifeline. That if you feel that you'd like to speak to somebody or you'd just like to step away from the conference for a little while, that'll allow you just to be able to regulate yourself and then rejoin the conference in the right spirit. Finally, I'd like to take the time to introduce our MC for the day. I'm really grateful to Steve Harris, who will be our MC for the day. Steve is a director of the Glenrock Network substantively at the moment, though he's been seconded to Sydney to work on a project around attendance. And attendance is really at the cornerstone of what we look at with trauma-informed practice for our students, because the baseline for us to be able to have powerful interventions with our students is to be able to actually have them with us. So attendance is really the baseline of how we get students to school so that we can work with them. Steve, welcome today. Thanks so much for taking the time to come and present at our conference.
Pleasure, Angus. Thank you. Yeah. Colleagues, welcome to the Cultivating Growth Conference. It's an absolute honour to be here with you today, and before we begin, I'd really like to acknowledge the work of Angus and the organising committee, particularly the strong support that this conference has had ongoing from delivery support in Kylie Walsh and Racine Boyd. I'd also like to mention Catherine Hughes from School Links, yeah, sorry, I just lost it, for their fabulous support. This is a really unusual process for us to be able to bring a conference of this quality to you online for so many people and at a free cost, which is really unheard of. One thing I would stress is the cost of the conference certainly isn't reflective of its quality. This is outstanding, and to be able to have the leading expert in the world beaming in from America to be with us today, I think is a fabulous opportunity. So the challenge that I'm going to ask of each of you is to be present today. One of the things we know when we work online is it's very easy to get engaged with your email, to respond to that urgent matter, to avoid the online shopping. If you're going to get the most out of today, it's really important that you give yourself permission to have the space purely to tune in and be 100% focused. Colleagues, I think it's a really exciting day. I get to come back to you several times throughout the day. I'll try not to take up too much of your time. But now, as whenever we come together, we would like to acknowledge the rich heritage of the Aboriginal people, the traditional custodians of the land. And it is an absolute honour to introduce Uncle Perry Fuller. Uncle Perry.
Yama, everybody. Okay. Today, it's an honour and a privilege to do acknowledgement to country. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we meet upon today, the Awabakal, the Warramai peoples. Also the surrounding nations. To the west, we have the Wonnarua. To the south, we have the Darkinjung. To the north, the Warramai. All three strong nations. And also from the lands where you are joining us from today. I pay my respects to our elders, past, present, because they hold the stories, the knowledge, the dreaming. Because of their resilience, they have paved the way for our younger generation, for our people to be strong and proud of our culture. I would also like to acknowledge any Torres Strait Islander peoples too that may be present, and also Aboriginal people that may be present too here today. I welcome you into the circle. Thank you very much.